they don't know that they are your partner. So for example, look, in my mind, if I picked Alexander as my partner, I'd just say Alexander, but I wouldn't look at him, because that's a clue, right? So in your mind, look around. You don't even have to know them. You don't even have to know their name, but look around, pick someone as your partner, and then have that person in your head. Okay. And then can you just start walking in the space slowly, watch for obstacles, watch for tables, just start walking around. And as you're walking, can you keep your partner, without looking at them directly, in view? Make sure that you can always see your partner. And just watch all the wires and the tables and the chairs. Keep your partner in view. And keep moving. And now make sure that your partner is out of view. Make sure you can never see your partner. And now make sure that your partner is in view. Make sure your partner is in view.
So that was an option on there?
Yeah, as long as you have the Thunderbolt HDMI adapter.
Use as much of the space as you can, but make sure they're always in view. And now make sure your partner's out of view. Make sure you can't see them. And stop. So this morning we're going to be talking about the SPARC Network, and so you may have observed the impact of having your partner in view and out of view as you were walking, or you may not have because it was a little bit tight. So let's try one additional thing. It doesn't have to be the same partner, it can be a new partner. But I want you to pick 2 secret partners. Again, they're secret, you don't go like, you're my partner. So you have 2 secret partners. I want you to walk until there's you make a perfect equilateral triangle. So there's a perfect, so if my partners were Ashley and Alexander, I'd walk until this is about perfect between Alexander, Ashley, and Myra. But Alexander might not have picked me, and Ashley might not have picked me. So if Alexander picked someone else and he moved, then I'd have to move, and I can't stand on the top of the sound equipment, so I might have to move over here. So make a perfect equilateral triangle and then stop. If it gets messed up because someone moves, fix it, and then stop as soon as you're perfect. Ready? Go.
No standing on the table. You have the lady.
See you later. Hey, I gotta go out here now.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfection.
I said I'm heading out.
We stop? Almost. Wendy's still
I'm still moving.
Well done. And come on back to your seats. SPARC Network. So from doing those two exercises, secret partner and secret triangle, what did you notice? What did you notice that could relate to being a SPARC network? Relationships shift? Anything else?
It's confusing.
It is confusing. It can be confusing.
Focusing on your goals, and I noticed when I couldn't see my partner, I was wandering aimlessly, I was lost.
So I'll repeat it. Could you hear? Having a focus on your goal, and when you couldn't see his partner, you felt lost. You felt like he was wandering. What else, Ashley? You're constantly influencing other people. Felicity? It's fun and it's possible. And the secret triangle one, it feels like it's not possible for a while, right? And it takes some patience. Yes? Interesting. Interesting. And think about that in relation to the network. Chris?
So as I'm moving and trying to find my partner, someone came in front of my view, and so I was temporary, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? So I've got a problem, but then you carry on. So solve the problem. There's things like that all the time in what we do. So just find another way to go around it.
Thank you.
The thing that I found interesting about the triangle exercise would have been so easy if other people knew they were our partners. Being open and not secretive makes life a lot easier.
Thank you. Clayton?
I felt like I was taking like a stalker training course. Like, this is how to follow someone and not let them know that you're following them.
And how does that relate to the network? Way at the back? Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim?
You're making like little adjustments and thinking, okay, fine tuning, I got it. And then everything went askew, and I had to make a huge major adjustment. So as opposed to just fine tuning, I had to go across the room and actually get people to read them again. So sometimes you got to make a major shift and actually get where you want to go.
Yeah. Thank you. Chris?
Other relationships came to view. There are many other things.
That's good.
Thank you. Ashley?
And to go off that idea, as well as the idea of other obstacles in your way, at times other people, like in my triangle, actually help me maneuver around obstacles. Like for example, if I was trying to make a triangle and I'm this one point and suddenly I'm hitting against a table, as soon as my other colleague moved, then I was able to change where I could go. Like that actually, their help, without knowing it, helped me avoid an obstacle.
Interesting. And we chose to do it with tables too, right? We could have been in the space at the back, which would have made it easier, but how many people have an easy road with the network they're working with, right? There's always obstacles. There's always stuff you're working with. Wendy?
Just trying to follow someone in what they're doing. To me, that's a lot of what SPARC has to deal with. I'm trying to follow what other people are doing, and sometimes I lose track of it and have to refocus again to find out what they're doing or what someone else maybe is doing. So to me, it's that following. It's trying to keep an idea out there and reaching for the people that you've met or connected with.
So Wendy was talking about following people and the value of following with people, and hard to sometimes stay connected, but needing to continue to reach out to do that. I didn't recap very well, but the essence. Clayton.
I also think that artists are the only people that could use this level of interpretation for that action. Anchors, there would be like one response. It was confusing. So I'm amazed to hear this volume of responses from this exercise. It's really impressive.
Yeah. So thank you. With that in mind, I think I will turn to Rebecca and Rebecca. Thank you.
good here. Awesome. So we're going to try and do this in the most exciting and engaging and many different things happening as possible, because I know that it is Sunday morning. And I don't know if anyone has had full nights of sleep. So I think everyone's consumed a lot of cheese. Which, I don't know. I heard there was still some blue cheese at the back, and I'm convinced I'm going to take it in the car with me. So no one touched that blue cheese. It's mine. So we just want to take a little bit of time this morning for, well, those of you who are familiar with SPARC, maybe there's some new things or some adjustments or shifts that you may not know have happened. New to SPARC, to kind of give you just an idea of what the network does after you've experienced the symposium. So we're kind of going to quickly just go through 4 things that SPARC does. So we kind of group them as outreach, services, resources, and communications / networking. And we've got a couple of presentations from people who have engaged with the SPARC Network for a long period of time now and can share their experiences with everyone. And we're going to get everyone thinking about how you have engaged with SPARC and how you could engage with SPARC moving forward, because we would like all of you to remain engaged with SPARC. I said yesterday to somebody, it would be great if everyone here could just call me sometime within the next 2 months, because I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what all of you do in our very quick conversations in between everything. So, but seriously, if you want to call me, and then we can have a longer conversation maybe in a couple of days from now, I can start taking those calls. And I actually want to learn more about what everyone's doing and how we can connect with you more. So, and that is part of number 1, outreach. So, so there we go, inadvertent segue. For me and for Chandel as well, and for the whole network steering committee, outreach is kind of with obviously the presenters, producers, creators, and animators, or community animators, activators, as well as with other organizations. So I know more recently we've kind of started building a bit of a stronger relationship with Capicoa, with Ontario Presents. Natalie and Kaylee's work here, which is awesome. We now have a reciprocal kind of membership agreement with FMO. Please now still here, I'm like scanning the crowd. Yes, right at the back with FMO. We recently chatted with the folks at
SICWA FMO.
Thank you. Sorry, yes, I'm using acronyms. Sunday morning. Folk Music Ontario is FMO. And we're hoping, fingers crossed, that if Thinking Rock moves forward with a certain research project that they have applied for funding for, that we will also be working with them as they move forward with that, which is awesome. So starting to build some organizational partnerships with SPARC, and then obviously also partnerships with individuals working in communities, and really trying to be intentional about where SPARC has reached and where SPARC has not reached in many different ways, and how we can improve on that moving forward. One of the ways that we do outreach in person is through community consultations. I'm going to do this because I think we've all agreed on the steering committee that I don't know if consultation is necessarily the very best word for it. But basically what that means is that SPARC goes to a certain community and the people working in the performing arts in that community, and usually about like an hour drive radius, which would be different as Chandel has been looking at consultations in the north and what that looks like and what that might mean and how those may take a different shape. But when we're looking at the southern part of the province within an hour and doing a ton of outreach, Googling who's doing what in that area, talking to people, getting recommendations of who else to get in touch with, and then bringing people together in the room to talk about the assets and challenges in their respective communities, really just get people connecting with maybe other groups in their area that they did not connect with before, get people out of those silos, get people chatting, and find ways for potential collaboration moving forward, and how groups can support each other more, and how SPARC can also support the people working in those communities. So that being said, we're going to call up Gord from Minto. And Minto Harrison had a consultation. When was the first one, Gord? fall of 2016.
February 17th.
February of 2017. And so Gord, I'm going to let Gord speak about this, but the group in Minto have kind of built on their first consultation and found ways to continue meeting with that group of people, and a project has sparked from that as well. So hand it over to Gord for a minute.
I'll take the riser. That's great. It's very considerate. I'm impressed. So as Rebecca said, I guess this is my fourth SPARC event here. Started in February 14, and then they had a kind of where do we go from here in November of 14, and then 16, and then back here. So realizing that SPARC has a mandate from Trillium to expand across the province, our idea is how can we help with that? So I think I was on the original outreach task force, and we're talking about expanding both in person and virtual and all that. So staying in touch, especially with Michael and Chris, we invited them to come to Minto and bring together and see what we could do. And we went through that, and these are some pictures of all the icebreakers and other consultations that we did February 17. We had about an hour-and-a-half radius. And again, I was saying, when you come up to Cobalt, that the province is so big. And Minto is a small community where we're not as active as Halliburton, but we're finding we are more active than most communities of 9,300. So we have theater groups and the Dance Academy and the Arts Council and music and all that too. So we tried to come up with common challenges, assets, and that. So we have volunteers, which is great. We're keeping them going. A lot of it, we have really good product, but sometimes not the audience, and we're fishing in a small pond. So we had several kind of the usual flip charts, assets and challenges and that. And we distilled it down to 3 themes: audience development, marketing and promotion, and grant writing, because we're also thinking in the back of our minds with the governance of SPARC in the long term and financial sustainability. So those are the 3 main topic areas. And on your table, so we have an invitation, and as Rebecca said, looking for an hour-and-a-half, but we would gladly have people from northern, eastern Ontario, wherever come, because I think those themes are common to everywhere. We've got a good lineup of speakers and hopefully some fun activities too. So we're going to do a one-day, and we've got like a small steering committee. And Eric from the Purpose Theater is on it too, and I think Chris has referenced many times, you don't know what's out there. So our first consultation, wow, 75% theater. I had no idea there were so many community theater groups in the area. Like, and some of them are half an hour away, some are an hour away. And across our Minto, fortunately, has been very supportive from a municipal point of view. But a lot of people say, gee, we don't have these people in the room. And this is amazing that people all across the province are further in a room. But you can draw a small circle and you don't have people talking to each other. So I think that's one of the benefits of SPARC. And maybe this is one way that we can, you know, move across the province, both from the regional approach, and keep the social media and everything going too. I think we need the combination of both. So anyway, mark your calendars. I have more brochures and stuff there. So come to Minto on October 20th. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, you're just, well, you're going to pose a question to the group, I believe. Awesome. Or Myra.
Keep the corner.
Yeah. I forgot this part.
It is Sunday morning, we forgot this part. So we have the 4 areas. Can you say them again, Rebecca?
Outreach, resources, services, communications, and networking.
Outreach, resources, services, communications, and networking. That's a combo one. So Rebecca's telling you about the what SPARC does. We're hearing an example of what it looks like. And then we want to give you a short amount of time, just a couple of minutes at your table to talk about, so what does that look like for you? Or what could that look like for you?
Yeah,
and then the outreach part. So only outreach, and then we'll hear the second thing that SPARC does. So thinking about outreach, thinking about Gordon's example, what does that mean for you? Are there potential possibilities, etc.?
There are, and just to note, there are two or three organizations in the room who we have had the pleasure of coming to visit as Consultations. So up here, the Lollipop Guild.
We'd love to talk to anybody about how great it was for our community.
When they came, we went to pardon? Okay, I'm sorry.
We went to Peely Island with these grand folks, and we were treated royally. They're from various organizations, but they're so cohesive. It's incredible. And they have taken, several of these people are from Windsor, and where they, perhaps you might say, were struggling with the culture of the arts there, and took their program to Peely Island, to a quarry. And when you go on the weekends to Peely Island, you experience these folks and many of their friends in visual arts, music, spoken word, and you're in a quarry, which is just so fabulous. So, and then we have Krista Dalby here as well, Prince Edward County. I think Krista Michael was our first, is that right? Or no, Claire, yeah, no. Well, you're right, thanks David, right. And so, but then we went to Prince Edward County and had another wonderful, wonderful experience with the group that Krista's working with. So I don't think there's anyone else in the room right now, is there? Okay, so good. So, think about at your table about outreach and how that pertains to you. And, Brockville. That was it. And you know what? Brockville was on, Brockville was off. Michael said, I'm going to go down anyway. There's 3 people who will talk to us. When he got there, Harold, did you have 9 or so? Something like that.
14.
Oh. See, they heard Michael was coming.
Michael and food.
Michael and food. Oh my gosh, and Wendy, that's right. Wendy Fairbairn from the Aurelia Opera House and Mike Martin. We went over to Aurelia. And some people say, well, Aurelia's not really religious. Oh, there's Mike. I'm Mike. Rural, remote. Well, talk to somebody who lives in Aurelia and find out what they think. So we have this sort of floating scale about rural and remote, and we talk about it at probably every other meeting. Are they rural? Are they remote? Sometimes really small rural communities don't have the capacity to pull it together, and so by going to Aurelia, Wendy and Mike had pulled in lots of people from Simcoe County, from small towns, but they could facilitate that for people. So excellent. So talk about outreach in you.
And if you
need to go to a bigger table, then do that. Okay? To get that conversation.
What kind of outreach did you do in Aurelia?
We do the same outreaches as they do pretty much at every location. SPARC comes in, so Mike is just approached Michael Martin, and basically Michael then sent out the information, not just to Aurelia organization, Foundation. We went to Ormagonchi, which is south of us. We had some people from the Braveners.
People come from Coldwater?
Coldwater, Midlands. We also have very organized. Yeah, just go to your table. So we brought us a lot of people. We did not have that. That was a little bit trying to make sure I don't think we did. But it was really good, and like I said, although we're not there's many people who can always fit in with communities. I feel the same way. Like our demographics, we have a senior population, there's like full adjustment.
Didn't, what's his name, Moses Heimer call it the Zoomer community?
Yeah, and that's where we're heading. We're basically becoming the Elliott Lake of Central Ontario. Is what our population is becoming a very high seniors, mind you, the financial demographics are changing massively because of that, because people that are coming up to our space are well-educated, financially sound. So we're getting people from that live in Toronto, live in Mississauga, live in all these places, coming up, moving up, buying our condos, moving into town. We've got 1, 2, 3 I don't want to call them seniors residents, adult living residents, some live here because they're not near the places. They really feel that age bracket that are early retirees. So I'm saying this, we have a lot of teaching, education people, and CEOs and ministers coming to our area.
People who might have sort of appreciation culture.
And that's where we're going. Like I said, we're community systems. We have hospitals, we have community systems, we have hospitals, but doctors are not the only one. Margaret Martin basically heads up the St. Paul's Church, which just had some funding done because, as we all know, our churches are not standing churches as much more, but need more funding. So they put in what they call Entourage. So we have the Alpha has 700 seats, or 675 in one space. We have St. Paul's, which has over 230. And we have the Geneva Center. But the Geneva Center is a Zoom hall that dog owners renovated. It's basically like this with a stage, but we have tons of indie rock space and people coming. So we're getting different generations, different types of online media because we lost it. So they wanted me to say that this was Consultations. And I said, this is not Consultations. We're more art training better on with developing art. And our video writers, we have accessible, miracle, it doubles our population from 45%. We're population.
When there's the cultural campus development.
Good morning. And we're having issues with Google Meet. And I'd like to tell you right now what was going to happen. It looks like it's taking again and running again just because we're looking at land rights. And for that specific space, the land rights really on provincially owned property all over the country. Says it is
So has the city activated its culture when you put in place its culture plan?
master plan.
So you'll one directs the other. So the gathering gathering like that gives you a chance to talk about something like that. Figure out collectively, okay, what do we do about it?
We would all rally because I don't think it's
Around that table.
Just
All right, we're going to bring it back, maybe wrap up your last thoughts. Okay, awesome. So as we started you there, I'll just note that Chandel and Myra and Chris ran around and handed out some cue cards. So if there's any ideas that around your table that you go like, we've got to get this back to SPARC, just make sure you write them down so that then you can kind of hand them in to me at the end of this session. And we will also, at the end of all four, kind of just do popcorn style. If anyone had any, you know, really great discussions they wanted to share any thoughts, then we'll do that then. As we just move our brains from the consultations, I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned, again, Sunday morning, we do have some upcoming consultations that are planned, and if you are in or around those areas or have connections to people in those areas, I would love to hear about that. So there will be one hosted in Peterborough for organizations working kind of toward the lake. So I've been doing outreach, work with Bob Cajun, Buckhorn, Lindsay, Lakefield, like kind of that entire area. So that will be happening actually in June. We will be in Almont, Mississippi Mills, in September, I believe the week before Culture Days. So that one's a little bit further away. I've also been in touch with a group in Perry Sound, and we just made some new connections with some other groups in the Muskoka area, so that will likely also happen, and I can keep you posted on that. And Chandel is currently planning a consultation in Timmins. So if you are in or around those areas, please let us know so that we can make sure that you are there. So we're going to move on to services, and I'm just going to talk really quickly because obviously there's a lot of details, but I don't want to get tied up in all of them, about our Collaborative Community Initiatives program. So this is a new program as of kind of the beginning of this year, really, of 2018. And what this program does is it provides a little bit of financial support for collaborative community initiatives. I don't have to say anything else. No. So capacity building initiatives in your community, we need to see at least 5 primary collaborators working on the project from different organizations or groups or businesses or independent artists working in different mediums. So the collaboration is open but needs to be there. We need to see that. So multidisciplinary collaboration is a key, and then it can be within one community or between communities or across an entire area. The project, again, we tried to kind of keep things pretty open with still somewhat of a structure, but could range from doing an artist swap. So the test project was actually in Eric's community, and I'm just going to super summarize it, Eric. But 2 different communities brought artists together working in multiple disciplines in their communities, put together one show together, and that they then toured to both of their communities to expose those artists to new audiences, also get artists working together who had never worked together, and also provide culture days activities for the people in those 2 communities. So it was an artist swap. We also had the Lollipop Guild doing their May Day event that was supported by a CCI program. And we're going to have someone come up, Krista, to help me, to talk about the project that received support in Prince Edward County. So you'll have that example, yes. And then I will speak to a couple more details. Awesome. I will pull up your PowerPoint.
Sure, thanks. Good morning, everybody. There we go. So this is the Picton Town Hall, which was built in 1867. And it's a much-loved community space which has roots in the performing arts going back to 1898, when the upstairs was an opera house, later becoming a cinema in 1918. Today it is home for many community and arts groups. Upwards of 50 dancers and musicians use it every single week. So this building is very near and dear to my heart for many reasons, not least of which is the fact that in 2013, I was able to use this beautiful, affordable community space to incubate, can you have the next slide please? The Firelight Lantern Festival, which is a multidisciplinary arts festival, which now 6 years later has become a huge community event, with last year's attendance at almost 700 people. We outgrew the space in the first year, and so we had to move to a larger venue. But the point is that community spaces such as this are essential for incubating new ideas in our rural communities. Next slide, please. And in the words of Jane Jacobs, new ideas must use old buildings. Affordable spaces for the performing arts are rapidly disappearing in Prince Edward County, as we have a very hot real estate market and many former community spaces have been privatized. Next, please. The main floor of this building, sorry, it's very dark. The main floor of this building was used as a fire hall for many years, but when the fire department relocated in 2017, it was announced that this municipal property was now surplus. A group of concerned citizens realized that this was a rare opportunity, and our municipal government subsequently voted to request proposals for the use or sale of the historic Picton Town Hall. While the county's RFP has not yet been issued, it is imminent. And there will be a 6-month window for community groups to come up with a credible proposal that will either finance its purchase outright by a nonprofit entity or cover the operating costs and ideally service the debt, as the building's sale was intended to offset the costs of building the new fire hall. So the Prince Edward County Arts Council, in collaboration with a group called Save Picton Town Hall, submitted a SPARC Collaborative Community Initiatives grant to develop a strategic plan to inform a mixed-use proposal for the Picton Town Hall, or the creation of an alternate space should the municipality not accept our proposal. Of course, we were delighted to receive this funding from SPARC, as it afforded us some resources to get our ducks in a row prior to the release of the RFP, giving us a fighting chance of competing with private developers who are chomping at the bits to get their hands on this choice piece of real estate. The goal of the mixed-use proposal is to ensure that the upstairs of the building, featuring an auditorium-style hall with sprung floors, remains available as an affordable central space for creators, presenters, producers, and community animators working in the performing arts. While there is a short-term opportunity for the Picton Town Hall, a strategic plan for affordable performing arts spaces will be even more necessary if this space also disappears to private interests. The need for affordable space for the arts in our community has been well documented. A SPARC community consultation in Prince Edward County in 2016 had more than 30 performing arts representatives from the area, and they identified affordable, flexible, accessible space as a key priority. Thanks to the SPARC grant, we've hired consultant Duncan Moore to create a plan which will include a working model and vision, enabling performing arts stakeholders to work more effectively with one another and with other community groups, with the shared goal of maintaining and enhancing mixed-use community spaces that are accessible to the performing arts. In addition, Duncan is pursuing more significant funding via sources such as the Canada Cultural Spaces Program for a mixed-use feasibility study and creating a structured, credible proposal for presentation to Municipal Council, giving us a higher likelihood of success in maintaining ownership of this building. So the consultants' work was divided into 3 stages. Stage 1 is where are we? This included gathering information and synthesizing the results of visioning. Next slide, please. These are some photos from our community visioning meeting. Next, please. We invited the public to share in small groups their ideas for the future of the town hall, which was captured by local artists and then shared back to the larger group. Next, please. And next. Stage 2 is where do we want to be? This includes setting objectives, prioritizing scenarios, and identifying community stakeholders. And stage 3 is how do we get there? This includes consulting with stakeholders and conducting a feasibility evaluation. And ultimately, our consultant will deliver a final plan, which includes a report, recommendation, and roadmap. So stage 1 is now largely complete, and we have a foundation of information we are now building upon. We agreed coming out of the visioning to 3 areas of community focus: the arts, a farmer's market, and flexibility for multi-use. And we have some guiding principles under discussion. Stage 2 is partially complete. Our consultant is identifying community stakeholders relevant to these areas, and he's exploring collaboration ideas and partnerships. He is sourcing experience and models from regional entities with compatible mandates. And we cannot complete this stage until the RFP is issued. And stage 3 is currently on hold. The RFP from the municipality, which will outline the objectives against which we have to deliver, was due from the council in April, and we're still waiting for it. So this is required for us to work on phase 2 of the plan, past the information gathering stage. So yeah, we're just waiting on that, and sorry. So yeah, in conclusion, so although our timetable is a bit slower than expected, things are moving forward. And next, please. Just a sincere thank you to SPARC for supporting our project to save the Picton Town Hall, and wish us luck.
So that's a little example of in-depth example of one of the projects that has received support from this program. So as you can see, there's kind of been a range of different projects and types of projects, and we've intentionally, again, tried to keep it as open as possible while still having guidelines, so that different projects that build capacity in different ways can be considered for this support. A couple quick details. I already mentioned the collaborators that need to be in place, and so when you apply, we do need to know collaborators. You can scroll down if you want, Shanda. So we need to know collaborators, the project, what's the idea, the budget, and the timeline, but not too much else. Again, we tried to make the application process as straightforward and maybe simple as possible. The support is up to $3,000 per project. And there are 3 application deadlines in the year right now, and we have one coming up on June 28th. So if there's something you've got in mind that you think would fit the bill, please, if you have questions, let me know. This that Chandel is scrolling through, let me provide some context. This is a page on the member network site. So when you go to the SPARC website and you click on Member Network at the top, which hopefully many of you did to receive the discount to come here and register for the symposium. Once you are a member, once you are a member, you can kind of access this part of the website. So it's kind of like a separate website in a way. And the Collaborative Community Initiative guidelines are there. I can also send them out to you, but becoming a member of SPARC is free, so hopefully you will do that, which means that you also have access to the other things that we're slowly building on this site, which I'll get to that in a little bit, so I don't want to go too much into the member site. Yeah?
Probably an important point is about that the money, you can get some money up front.
Yes, 90% of whatever funding you are granted, whatever support you are granted, you receive up front, and then 10% is after we get a final blog post and report and all those fun things from you. Yeah, and so since this is our first round, the 3 projects that we're given support, we're in the middle of them right now. So we'll also be exploring ways to share what those are through blog posts, through maybe a section of this website so you can go and see examples of what's happened in the past if you're interested in applying. There were printed guidelines on the registration table, but I don't know if there's any left, or where those might have ended up. But yes, if you have questions, just call or email me and we can chat. If you have an idea and you don't know if it fits, call and talk to me. And yeah, spread the word about it. So, do we want to do a little brainstorm on that? Yeah, cool. So, there you go, at your tables, maybe thinking of projects that might be eligible for this support for a couple minutes.
early. Having moved over like the one time, you know, having brand new and when we have to plan for the year. Like that might be it. I'm going to talk about this early. Yeah. Right, but it's for a collaboration of 5 groups.
No, I think yours is
I see.
and then this board and then other locations say what this product is. I remember saying that's about the order I guess the product they want to that works. That was
As long as they are size of the board.
Hey, gosh, start.
10:30.
So we're like 20 minutes.
Yeah, 25.
Well, social media, what you guys
What is the sign for that?
Sorry? 3,000. Right? That's right. Out of the air. 3,000 new rules. Yeah. 3,000 all. Yes. 30,000. Extra.
Yeah, we were at the table with them on Friday. Whenever we started this weekend.
All right, unfortunately we're going to have to wrap up that thinking as well. Moving right along. Big schedule, short morning. Awesome. So, moving right along into resources. So, again, you're on the member site or the sub website, which is the member network site, which you have access to when you sign up to become a SPARC member. And Chandel, for free, yes, thank you. I always forget to say that. Chandel's hovering over the resources tab right now, which is something new. This resource tab is also brand new in this section. If you've been on the member site before, for those who've been linked into SPARC for a while, this is where the groups and forums used to be and no longer appear. But we do have the CCI under services and the 3 things under resources right now that Chandel and I have put together, and we're working to kind of build this. So right now there's a list of Ontario Arts Councils, and I maintain that I think this is possibly the most, the biggest list of arts councils in Ontario that exists. I'm gonna claim that. Because you cannot find lists of arts councils that go beyond like Toronto, Mississauga, London, Guelph, those Hamilton, the big ones. This is a giant list of arts councils that they may not be very active, they might be very active, but just a way to find what's going on in different areas. We also have just a sheet that we put together some funding bodies, and as we kind of hear about more, we're trying to make sure we're collecting and adding to that. And we had someone do an expert chat for us, which I'm just about to talk about, on volunteer management, and the resources she shared with us during that we decided to put up here so that people could have access to them. So expert chats, which I've kind of already talked to a couple of people about, are another new initiative as of a couple months ago. Chanel can click over to our YouTube channel. So what expert chats are, in a nutshell, is I like to call them a casual face-to-face webinar. So it's a way for people to share information that is not slides and is not in writing, but is actually an opportunity to see somebody. Because to me, that's what's so exciting about being here with all of you, is talking to people and seeing the excitement and the passion on their faces when they talk about what they do. And so that's kind of where the impetus for expert chats came from. Just based on what we were hearing from membership on what they wanted to hear about, we heard from resources. So kind of the first place we went was to a couple different arts service organizations. So we had Kaylee and Natalie from Ontario Presents talking about Ontario Presents and what they do and their resources. We had someone from Work and Culture, and we had Reva do a talk leading into Volunteer Appreciation Week about volunteer management. And we had the team from the Humanist Festival, which is a youth-led festival in Kingston, talk about what youth-led means for their organization, how they work with their board, how they do outreach, their education components of their festival, and that was going into Youth Arts Week. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and this is brand new, but I would love nothing more than to have almost everybody who attended this symposium say, hey, yeah, I'll jump on Facebook Live for half an hour and talk about what I do and how we do it, share interesting resources and other organizations to connect to. I don't know, it seems like maybe a little intimidating because it's called Expert Chats, but the point is that everyone in this room is an expert. Everyone in this room is an expert. Everyone in this room is doing amazing work, and you are an expert on what you do. And so we want to hear about that, and spread the word about what is happening in rural and remote communities around the province. And hopefully this is a way that people can learn more about what's going on, if they weren't able to make it here, or in between gatherings like this. So what happens with those is right now they are live chats, and they exist in our members' Facebook group. So discussion that used to happen on the members' website has now shifted to a Facebook group. So that's where the video goes live, and SPARC members can comment and tune in and ask questions. Thank you, Chandel, for demonstrating. So you, as a member, you can tune in live and ask questions and engage with that speaker. After the fact, we then put them on YouTube. So everyone can see them, everyone can access them. They're there to be shared. Oh, yes, thank you. This is great, thank you. So, expert chats, if you're interested, please get in touch with me. I may also bug everyone and just say, please do one. I know the digital creators are maybe on board. I talked to a couple people yesterday. The table's looking at me because the people I talked to are not in the room right now. They volunteered all of you to do expert chats for us. So another resource, I'm going to pass it over to Chris here, that is being developed as a collaborative community initiatives project, is a community calendar platform called ourcalendar.ca.
I usually have staff do this for me. But it's okay, you stay there.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm actually representing a group from Halliburton called CAR, the Performing Arts Roundtable. And they, I don't know, 12 or 15 years ago, this group of people who were working in multidisciplines in the performing arts said, we're doing all this stuff, but we never talk to each other about it, and we all are having the same kind of challenges and issues. And so a very favorite friend of ours who's not here today, Jack, he's still with us, but he's not here today, is Jack Brazina and Sean Pennington and Jim Blake and many other people came together and started to have those conversations. And then they, I think at some point in time, they pulled in our friend David back there, and he became excited about what this group was doing. But really, it was just about, it was about, oh man, we've got transportation issues, and we're double booking, and we're calling on the same audience, that sort of thing. Those are the discussions that they had, and then they came to a decision. So that's PAR, and it continues today, the Performing Arts Roundtable. And one of the things that they really decided that they needed was, well, I guess one of the problem they found was that they were double booking, because they're crazy people who do events all the time. And there's not a weekend in Halliburton that there isn't something on. And that's not just in the arts, it's the tractor pulls and it's the Rotary Lobster Dinner that pulls in 125 people. So they found that they were double booking, and they found that they were trying to draw from the same audience. And when you're in a rural community, you know that that's not a whole lot of people. So they focused on a calendar, and they said, we know the answer to our problem is we need a calendar. We need a common calendar where we all post our stuff. And in their minds at that point in time, it was an arts calendar. That's it. Somebody's going to create a calendar for us. We're all going to post our stuff on it, and it's going to be all about the arts. And then Tammy Ray, who I'm working with closely with the art calendar, had an event. And she didn't realize that there was a tractor pull on that same day. And so there was a huge clash in those kinds of things. So then there was like this sort of aha moment that said, it can't just be a calendar that's about the arts. It has to have everything in the community on it. It took us a while to get to that point. Some of the things that we knew had to go into the calendar, and I'll just do that briefly, and you guys could put the calendar up, was we knew it had to be inclusive of all events. We probably needed a person to monitor it, but before we did that, we need to have some fun. We probably needed to have some funding to create a good calendar, and we just kind of went on. So we had all these criteria of things that we really wanted it to happen, to have on the calendar. But the one thing that we really hit on was that it needed to have a backroom planning in place on it, so that we could go. So the Jack Brazinas of the world, who does Highlands Summer Festival, could go out 5 years from today, and he could put in all his dates. And Barry Martin from Halliburton Folk Society, he knows well in advance when his concerts are going to be, so he can go out 5 years in this back planning room and put his dates in. So we knew that's what was really going to make it good for all of us who are planning events. And not only that we wouldn't be double booking, but also that we could be collaborating. So on July the 17th, I don't know, somebody's doing some kind of theater production, and I want to do a music event, or I want to do a dance event, and I'm going, so I'm either going to say, I'm not going to, okay, July 17th, not good for us, we're going to go the next week, or we're going to say, man, as my father would have said, man or Shevitz, that is so good, we are going to, let's go and talk to them and see if our event can fit with their event, and now we've got something really spectacular that people can come to town for in the afternoon, and then they can go to dinner, and then they can do something in the evening. And so that's what the calendar became exciting for us in that way. And then we had some aha moments along the way. We looked around as we started to do these consultations. We realized that you out there have the same challenges that we do. And when I said about double booking, we were bobbleheads in this room, because that happens. And when I said about drawing from the same audience, you were the same way. So this was kind of like, oh yeah, this calendar is bigger than PAR, and it's bigger than a Halliburton group. So because PAR people are also SPARC people, we saw the potential for this to become a resource for the people of SPARC. And at some point in time, in our minds, is when we get this fine-tuned to the point that it works well. going to say we might offer it out through SPARC as a resource for people out there. So, and I'm not going to go into detail about how the calendar works because it's a calendar. Barry?
But as a calendar, the big feature of this, I mean, we all got community calendars, and you have an event, and you have to post the event on 6. They all require different inputs and formats, and so the trick with this calendar is that we're going to work with all the existing calendars, and this will become the platform for all of the community calendars, and they can filter whatever they want to show. If their organizations, a tractor pull association, all the tractor pull events can be, that's all the users will see, their users will see. So it's a platform that is behind all of the community calendars, and we're trying to get buy-in from all the community calendars so that when I enter an event, my event will populate 6 calendars or whatever. Okay. I think that's a really, really, really important feature, because if you don't have that feature, or that's one feature that's important. If you don't have that, then you're still populating all those separate calendars. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah. So our other organization is the Arts Council. We have an administrator, and she spends 2 to 3 days a week putting in people's events into our calendar, because we have one of the healthiest, most robust newsletters in the county for arts events happening. So she spends 2 to 3 days doing that at this point in time now. And I know you all have there are other people that have that person. So now, as Barry just said, you know, she types it in once, and whoever our members are, it goes out. So right now we're piloting it. We've been piloting it for, we're just coming up to the end of our 8 weeks because we really wanted to get the bugs out. We were able to get some funding, some small bits of funding, which we really appreciate. And one of them happens to be from SPARC. And to hire a person, because you need to have a person who's monitoring this, and we really need to get a lot of bugs out. So we've had that privilege. We also then, our next privilege is if we're going to work with this with another bit of money from our development corporation to go through to October. We will bring on more people. Right now we just have 10 members. So this is on the calendar, and so as from July to October, we'll have more people. We'll work through it for the summertime, and that's why I say in 2019 we may be offering it as a resource through SPARC. So we only hope that it will get better. And this is what it looks like. If you could, can you scroll down just a bit? It comes in 3 parts, and so the Arts Council will embed this calendar onto our website. And the Folk Society will embed it. Onto their website. Some people have more sophisticated websites, so they don't want this one. But it's okay because they can make links to it, and then so from your website and your calendar, you can link to this community calendar. So your visitors to your website will be able to get that information when they come to visit your community. There's a banner at the top. And you don't have, so really, if all your, there's 3 parts. There's a banner at the top, there's the calendar, and then there's a scroll bar at the bottom. And so you can take all 3 parts or just one part. The Arts Council will just take the calendar at this point because the banner, we want our own photos up there. So there's a number of wonderful options. And then when there's thank you, filter. So on the Arts Council, we can filter 1, 2, or 3 of those things in your organization. Barry's probably only going to filter for music, but he also is going to link to this calendar. So there's a lot of potential when you click on
That's theater.
Yeah, on the 9th of July. So that, so like I said, it's a calendar. And then when I click more information, then that goes to their website, and it stays to their website. So it's going to take it right to our members, and that's what they like. So, really, I think that's all I want to tell you about it, unless someone else, I need to work with Barry on this too. So if you can talk to us about it afterwards. But this is one of the things that SPARC says we need to do. We want to offer resources to folks. And this is one of the things that we're working on right now. So, okay, that's the calendar. And thank you. I'm not sure how our timing is going.
I don't know, but I'd like 10:25. Yeah.
So, leave the table chat. We can talk about our calendar later.
Okay.
Our guests are here. And
Yes, I know. Wanna get them on time.
Cool. Then the very last thing that I'll talk about, and I'll just breeze through it because we've already been talking about it a lot this weekend, is communications. At least we've been talking a lot about social media. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through what we're doing in terms of communications, just in case you don't know about some pieces. So the quick and obvious ones first is that we do have the public SPARC Facebook page. Chandel has been the person behind the Facebook page since November. So she has a whole calendar and plan and schedule in terms of when she is sharing resources, when she is sharing events, when she is sharing SPARC news. So we're trying to really get some interesting and relevant information out to people who are following that page. We already looked at the SPARC member Facebook group, so that's kind of a separate thing. So when you sign up to become a member, oh my gosh, 4 people want to join this group. I gotta get on that. Okay. When you sign up to become a SPARC member, one of the questions that it now asks you is whether you would like to be added to our members Facebook group. That is what this is. And when I get notification when you sign up to be a member, and I send you an email with a bunch of information, and then I also check your sign-up forms to see if you wanted to be added, and if yes, I will add you to this group. Look at that, sitting at 99, so close to 100 in the member Facebook group. We have more members than that, but that's how many have chosen to join the group. What's the next tab, Chanel? Probably, oh yeah, okay, Twitter, Instagram, they're there. Oh, people are asking to join the group right now. Those are, pretty self-explanatory. If you're on Twitter and Instagram, follow us and engage with us, that's awesome. The blog is on our website. We've got a pretty good schedule of Thursdays, not this Thursday, but going back to Thursdays, we do blog posts. We've tried to shake that up a little bit, again, since Chandel and I kind of joined SPARC, so now we have guest bloggers writing posts for us fairly regularly. Chandel and I have been doing some interviews and putting those up there, just so there's kind of different content to read on that blog. It's on our website, but on Thursdays when it gets posted, it is our Facebook post, so you can find it that way. Great. What is the next tab, Chandel? Oh yes, newsletter. We also have a new newsletter as of January, February. So when you sign up to become a member for free, remembered at that time, you're also asked if you want to join our mailing list. The mailing list is really the newsletter, and that's once a month. There's not really, unless there was some big SPARC news that we wanted to get out to you, we're not going to be spamming your inboxes. So the newsletter kind of has a similar format every time. There's kind of SPARC news, there's a member profile, things that are upcoming. We kind of just try to highlight some things. Those may be workshops or events in different areas. Where's the funding? I was going to short form that. I think we can guess to what. And I just wasn't sure how that would be received by everyone, so I was like, we'll leave it with where's the funding, and you can make that connection yourself. Yes, so if you're interested in receiving that, then you can also, there's many ways to sign up for that, through our Facebook page, through our website, if you go to the Connect tab, and also when you sign up to become a member. In terms of other communications or networking, on the member site, Chandel, if you can just go back to that really quickly, there's the member directory and there's the member map. The map, I looked at with our IT person, trying to get it automatically populating when you signed up to become a member. Turned out that was a crazy coding nightmare that couldn't happen. So the map does not automatically populate, but if you sign up to become a member, I would love if everyone added themselves to that map. Because that's neat to see where people are, and you can find people that way. And if you hover over a little red thing, it should pop up and say who's there, maybe. Yes, there we go. It's happening. So that's the map, and then the directory. Chandel, if you just want to click over there really quick. I was active. This is how you can find other members. You can search by name. You can search by discipline. So when you sign up as a member now, we ask you if you're working in a certain discipline. I know for many people that's like every discipline we list and more. But you can search by a discipline, and then as you scroll down, that's all the other people who have indicated they're working in that discipline. You can visit their profiles, depends on how much they've updated them, what information is there, but that's just another way to connect with people. The best I would say is probably the member Facebook group if you're there. That's an easy way to connect with someone, but if you're not, then this is a way that you can find people. I think that's all of the things that I wanted to say. I'm going to bring Barry and Jim up really, really quickly, I think. Just Barry. Oh, Jim's bailing at the last minute. But anyways, all of this to say, please engage with us in a way that makes sense for you, but please do. We're trying to continue exploring what the online connecting looks like and how it works best for people and when it's useful and when it's not useful. So yeah, and that was part of that survey, was trying to get a sense of like what are people finding useful as we test out all these different initiatives and the blogs and the expert chats, et cetera, et cetera. Because if there's stuff that isn't, then we won't do it. We will spend our time focused on the things that do make sense to you. So I'm just going to quickly pass it to Barry for a little what's next, I believe. So SPARC.
Yeah, so our steering committee is always asking what is next, how do we move forward? And as you may or may not know, our funding through Ontario Trillium Foundation goes to December 2019, so what happens after that? We're also under the auspices of the Arts Council in Haliburton Highlands, which probably needs to change. So we had a well-attended governance meeting yesterday. Well-attended is good. And we talked about a lot of things very quickly, but there was a feeling in the room that we needed to move. A couple of options. We could go under an existing organization like Capicoa or something, or we could create our own nonprofit. And so we had a discussion. I think there's a feeling that we should create our own nonprofit. We also felt it was pretty critical before we do that is to consult with the funders to make sure that they're aware of what we want to do, but also how can we help fulfill their objectives. So we're going to do consultation with some of the key funders. So we're really now, the next step is undertaking a process to incorporate and move forward. Let us know if you want to be involved with that. I guess the other next step is the next symposium. And we feel that this is a pretty core activity to what we do. And we feel that 2020 we should have another symposium. And we haven't, there's been no discussion about where that would be and who would host that. So I guess probably at our next steering committee meeting, we'll look at how we determine that. It could be a request for proposal. If there's, that's what we did last time, and we had several communities that put their names forward. So we'll do that again. And we're so very grateful that Cobalt did take on that project. I think they've raised the bar. It's been really, really good. So thanks. And so those are my remarks about what's happening next. If you wanted to be involved with SPARC moving forward or be on our board, let us know. Let Jim or I know. So thanks.
So we hope that, for new folks that were here, that we gave you an overview of what it is that SPARC does. And and it's good, I hope it's good, I think it's good information for everybody to know what our services are and what our purpose is. Our purpose is to bring people together, to reach out, to meet with you, to talk with you, to give us all the opportunity to share our knowledge, that sort of thing. But on the other flip side of it, there are things, the things that SPARC wants to do, is providing you these kinds of services that can help you in your communities move forward. So Wonderful. Awesome, awesome. So we're going to take a little bit of a break now. We have Dave Age is here, and they're going to do a presentation for us very shortly. David's going to introduce those in a bit. So can we take 5 minutes or 10 minutes? 5 or 10 minutes to refuel, and I think David is saying that's right, or 5 minutes, yeah. Okay, got the word. All ready?